All right. Well, greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I'm your host once again, Dan Thornton. I want to thank you all for joining us this morning. And Lions Talk Live, we're going to kick this show off just a little bit early, just so we can get a few more things. I walked by the the computer and seen that the comment section is alive and well this morning. So wanted to just go ahead and jump on and get things going. But as you can see from the thumbnail, the topic today, hey, James Houston. I want to be clear on this. The Lions have extended him the contract offer. He's going to get paid the league minimum for this upcoming season. He does have the right to just not play this season if he disagrees with it. But I think we can all understand he's going to play for the Detroit Lions this year, and then they're going to have to work out a deal to resign him. So a little bit of a restricted move there, but I would fully anticipate he's going to sign and then be a part of the Detroit Lions this upcoming season, which I know we've been discussing on Lions Talk Live, especially yesterday. That's my anticipation. He's going to be the starting end opposite Aiden Hutchinson. And if you add in someone like, say, DJ Reader, maybe some of Houston's downsides aren't as noticeable. Also, John Cominsky agreed to take about a just over $2 million pay cut in order to remain with the team. I would say that's pretty clear to me. Cominsky did not want to be a free agent, did not want to potentially re-sign with another team, want to stay here, be a part of what Detroit is doing. So give him kudos and praise for going and taking a little bit of a pay cut. All right, before we get into today's show, a couple things as we always do here. If you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. We're about 60 some odd subs away from hitting 6,100 subscribers. Never thought that would happen, but if you haven't yet subscribed, please consider doing so. Also, if you enjoy the content of the video, don't be afraid to hit the thumbs up button. All right, last but never least, anywhere in the great state of Michigan, if you are looking for a representation, a realtor, when you're buying or selling property, feel free to give me a call or shoot me a text, 269-998-2384. I've been a realtor since the early 90s. Enjoyed a ton, and I think I'm fairly decent at it. So give me a call. Let me see what we can do to save you some money, either on selling or buying property anywhere in the state of Michigan. If you're outside the state, you can still give me a contact call, and I can try to help you out as best I can. All right, you guys all saw the news. You seen the thumbnail. You seen that the Lions have re-signed a few people. I know most of you are aware that they also re-signed Zonovan Knight, Craig Reynolds, a couple other players. But I just figured I'd go ahead and point that out. Okwada, boy, I always kill his name. Okade Okwada, the offensive lineman / interior offensive lineman guard, was also re-signed. They did not resign a few people that they let walk, and I think you guys probably know about most of them. Jacobs, Pittman, Jones, Kalia Daly, and Dorsey are all allowed to hit the streets, so they will more than likely not be back, including Anthony Pittman, Benito Jones. I mean, you get it. There's a couple guys we did not offer new contracts to. All right, all that being said, we also have DJ Reader coming into town today. He's going to come in for a visit, and I know we talked about it a little bit yesterday. It's my anticipation Reader's going to be in here for probably about 6 hours. 2 hours or so are going to be probably just with the medical staff of the Detroit Lions evaluating his physical condition. Is he worthy of signing a contract? Should they keep him or make him an offer and keep him, or have him be a part of the Detroit Lions, I should say. So let's hear your guys' thoughts on that. Last but not least, before we start going through the comment section, I do want to give a shout out to a couple different basketball teams. I had to cover them for the AP as far as keeping the tickers updated. But, hey, give a lot of recognition. Boy, I can't talk this morning. To the Niles Brandywine girls and boys basketball teams. The boys basketball team won earlier this week and is in the Final Four. Their girls team won the regional crown last night, so I think that puts them in the final 16 teams. And if they win one more game, they're in the Final Four as well. So real big shout and praise for both the Niles Brandywine's boys and girls basketball teams. That's a heck of an achievement, having one team make it. The fact that you got both the genders making it this far in the playoffs, that's really noteworthy. All right, let's get the show going. Drums, woo! The first woo of the show. There we go. Moonscar, good morning, and great news. It is great news, I think, because anybody who's watched this show for more than a hot second is probably aware that I am a James Houston fan. I am definitely aware he's not great against the run, but you know what? If you bring in someone like DJ Reader, You got him next to Aleem McNeil. You got those linebackers behind you. You got Aiden Hutchinson out there. I think you can probably get by with that defensive front, especially if Houston returns to the form of his rookie season. Who knows, man? We might just end up having a pretty good deal there. All right, Trump's due morning. All due morning to you too. Donkey Kong Super Bowl or bust. Lots of exclamation points. Woo! That wasn't my best woo ever. Thank the good Lord we have the best GM in football. Exclamation points. Happy Thursday to all. 100%. You know what? We might not all agree with some of the people we haven't signed in free agency, but I think we can all agree we've added a lot of possibilities to the roster. A lot of people in that secondary are starting to look pretty decent. My personal opinion on Carlton Davis III, I think he's going to be a better value than most people consider. Now you add with him some of the other guys they've signed or retained, I guess you could say, with Emmanuel Mosley. And you know what? The depth looks better and better. And I don't know if we're ever going to have a true number one lockdown, shutdown, take away half the field corner. But I think Davis III is going to be a lot better than some of the fan base thinks. I've watched a wee bit of film on him now, and I can say this. He can bump, he can press, he can hold the press. That's probably, to me, one of the most impressive things. He might be in the league's top, 10%, 15% in corners. Because when he gets hands-on with the line, you can see where even some of the bigger receivers struggle to break away from him. And you know what? You can do that for half a second. You throw off a whole lot of timing routes and a whole lot of offensive schemes. So pay attention to that. Big D, hats off to Cominsky. Yeah, getting anybody to take a pay cut is difficult. Getting somebody who, man, I don't know if he'd be able to hit the free agency and command more than what he was going to get in Detroit. But it probably does bring up to a question that, hey, you got a guy who's willing to take less to remain here. That says a lot about the franchise, the coaching staff, the front office, and the culture here. So give him I can't talk. Give him all of the props you want. Hey, he's going to remain a Lion, and you know what? I think we all agree. Most Lions fans like him. All right, Trump, I'm thinking we get Mac. Man, is from my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, Mac's probably remaining in the Chargers or with the Chargers for the upcoming year. I don't think he's going to hit the free agency. I don't think he's going to get cut or released. But if somebody has some more information on that, feel free to throw it in the comments section. Murray time. Good morning, Duke Crew, and good morning, Dan. Thanks for all the great content on my favorite team. Woo! There you go. That's a far better woo than the last one. And hey, no worries, Bergs. I enjoy doing it, as you well know, and thanks for all you do to help out and assist. Trump's what's with Commish? He took a little over a $2 million pay cut in order to remain the team because otherwise it sounds like he might have been let go. He wants to stay here from all indications. He wants to finish his career with the Detroit Lions. All right, Gary, look, I'm good with Holmes being a penny pincher, but when you get an impact player or two from legit Super Bowl run, you dig in those pockets. Yeah, and man, I totally get it, Gary. If Brad Holmes would have went out and somehow got Hunter or somebody similar to that, let's just at least say that, then I think all Lions fans with all these different moves, the penny pitcher moves or whatever, the Dollar General Brad moves, probably would have been very okay with this free agency window. That didn't happen. We didn't get a Hunter or, an Allen or whoever else, Burns. Instead, we got some guys that were like, I don't know, not the greatest newsworthy guys out there. But you know what? Take a step back, see if we've gotten better. I guess at the end of the day with free agency, that's all I'm really ultimately worried about. Did the team get better? At least on paper, I'm going to say our cornerback room looks pretty dang deep, and it's gotten better. I do get your point, though, on the pass rush, though, but maybe that's an indication where we're going to go with the draft. And does James Houston, Betts, or some of these other guys they picked up like Davenport in free agency, is this an accumulative effect where they're thinking these guys are better than most of us fans realize? If that ends up being the case, then I think we're all going to look back in 6-8 months from now and say, man, Brad Holmes might just be the smartest dude in the room. All right, Michael, great salutations, coach and Duke Crew, exclamation point. Find the Lions offer Houston a contract. Woo! Yeah, and I probably worded that horribly in the thumbnail that was offered to him, but I'm going to say this. If he doesn't re-sign just so he can sit out a season, I'll be very surprised. It's my full anticipation James Houston will sign that contract offer probably sooner versus later. So, I mean, there's no way he can get really around it. If he's going to play in the NFL this year, he's going to play at that price. So, and then I'm going to guess if he does real well this year, they're probably going to re-sign him to a longer term deal. All right, Berger, what do you got? Reader can't leave the building without being signed if he's healthy. Yeah, and I think that last part of your statement is the key part. If he's healthy. Who knows, man? We can all speculate at this point whether he is or isn't going to be. But like I said at the start of the show, my anticipation is he's going to spend a few hours with the medical staff of the Detroit Lions just so they can evaluate and get an idea where he's at from a physical standpoint. All right, Trump, freaking auto spell is targeted. All right, fair enough. Yeah, it gets a lot of people here in the chat, so I get it. All right, Jeff, what do you got? Coach, Houston was made an offer. I didn't think he signed it yet, but if he doesn't sign, he sits out all of 2024. Is that correct? That is correct. Yep, I think you summed it up pretty well there, Jeff. So that's why, even though I probably could have worded it better in the thumbnail, you get it. He's going to be a Detroit Lion this year. Big D, Gary, I think we are done doing great this off season. We get Mac, it's a wrap. Yeah, the only thing is, I mean, you guys help me out, and maybe you already have in the comments, but I'm pretty sure Mac is still with the Chargers. Unless they released him and I didn't catch it overnight, which does happen. Yeah, he's still a Charger, and it looks like he's going to be for this upcoming season. But again, if you guys know something, hit me with it. Bo, what do you got? Good morning, Duke crew. Superdome or bust! Exclamation point. I like the way things are falling into place. Armstead next? Question mark. You know, I know we talked about that a little bit late last night, in between some of the games, where I think it was halftime of one of the games. I got on the mic real quick to try to give you guys an update. He would fit in greatly from a pass rush perspective. My question is going to be, if you're Brad Holmes and you have to choose between Reader or Armstead, for an example, which one do you go with? If it's me, I'm probably going Reader just because he's so stout against the run. Not that Armstead isn't good against the run. I just think DJ Reader is better. Now, Armstead's far better against pass or getting to the quarterback by a mile. But, man, I think you're splitting hairs, and it just seems like the Lions are so worried about stopping the run first versus anything else. That's why I think I would give the edge to DJ Reader. But who knows? Maybe they do go Armstead. All right, Bird Time. Commish restructured his contract. Much respect. Yeah, you have to. Anytime somebody's willing to do the same thing for less, give him some props and praise. All right, Big D, Reader is a beast, or really a beast. Yeah, he's big, he's bad, he's awesome. It's just, is he healthy? That's going to be the big one. Susan, what do you got? Greetings and salutations, everyone. Sign DJ, please. Yeah, it sounds like a lot of people are jumping on that wagon, and I mean, we'll probably know by 8 o'clock tonight if he's going to be a Lion. If he leaves the building and does not have a contract, that means, to me, probably the medical evaluation did not go well. All right, Big D, and he's got the attitude we need here in Detroit. Yeah, I would agree. He plays with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder and an edge. So, yeah, I would concur with that. Berg time, yes, Big D, I agree, 1,000%. Clark, greetings and salutations all. Autocorrect for the win again, I see. LOL, yeah, and it bites a lot of us here in the chat repeatedly. Trumps, if someone is going to be a tough guy, it's good he is big, not just mouth. CD, yeah, and I get what you're saying with that. Gardner Johnson, hey, that's Philly's thing now. It's funny, though, that he's kind of, when CJ Gardner-Johnson left Philadelphia, he kind of bashed it a little bit, at least the fan base and such, but now he's going back. So just goes to show me, man, everybody's got a price. You know, you can say one thing, but at the end of the day, the contract's right. Most of us are probably going with the contract. All right, Big D, much respect to any member of this team that restructures for the benefit of the team. Yeah, in helping out, freeing up a little bit more money. You know, hey, that just shows how much he wanted to be a Detroit Lion and did not want to go back out in free agency, did not want to potentially play for another team again. So I get that, man. Dave, good morning. I think if we can get Reader today, assuming he is viewed as healthy, this has been a very good free agency for us. Be hard to disagree with that, just because, I mean, you'll have had established depth in the secondary and now beefed up the defensive line while giving up I guess you could say 1 draft pick, but you got 2 in return. So yeah, I think you're pretty spot on with it. Big D Trump, you nailed it 100%. Brent, greetings and salutations, coach and do crew. I agree with Gary. I think it's time for Brad to reach a little deeper into his pocket and get us a game changer or two. Yeah, it's just, I wonder at this point, Brent, who's the game changers still available? Maybe there are some I'm not considering, but let me know if you guys think there are a player or two that we should really go out and get. Let's see. John Snow, good morning, all. Good morning to you, too. Trump, how much should Houston get? Maybe a little over vet minimum. I think it's just for vet minimum. So, and his position, his tenure, I don't know offhand what that would be. I just know it's the veterans minimum. Zach, yeah, vets minimum. Yeah, agreed. All right, Matthew, greetings and salutations. Good morning, everyone. Boy, if you could get Reader on a prove-it deal and pick up Armstead, man, if you could get them both, wow, that would be something. Then that defensive line, think about the size of that line across the board, and from Hutchinson to Armstead to Reader to Ali McNeil to, man, you throw Broderick Martin in there with him. Whew. I mean, yeah, that would be a pretty beefy line. All right, Hatman, good morning. Good morning. Dan and Do Crew family. I still have a hard time believing that we are finally building a great team. 50-plus year fan, and I love what Brad is cooking. Go Blue. Good. Well, good morning to you. Yeah, and you know what? Hey, let's see what we do this year. If we can have another attempt at the Super Bowl and maybe even get it, then, man, the Lions fans everywhere are going to be across the board, jumping up and down, but also show just a massive change for this team because you have gone 3 straight years with winning seasons, maybe even some playoff wins. Yeah, just off the top. All right, Ed, good morning, coach and do crew. Like it or not, Brad is being Brad. So far, just a bunch of replacement players. I hope he does better in the draft. He does seem to do well in the drafts. I think we all get that. Hey, man, him and the scouting department seem to nail it in the draft. As far as the free agent players, I guess we'll have to wait and see. I mean, there's going to be some people that are negative on it. There are going to be some people who are positive on it. There are going to be a lot of people in the middle as far as whether or not this guy was good or bad or indifferent or whatever. So let's just wait and see, because at the end of the day, if they go out there and perform, they do well, then we're going to all say these were great signings. If they don't, then obviously we're going to say these are terrible signings. All right, moving on. All right, Mike the Marine. Howdy, Dan, Lions faithful. Love your show every day. You drink dew with grit. There we go. I do drink dew with grit, and hey, try to bring a positive vibe to you guys. All right, Matthew, one thing they never need is a guard center. One thing they need, is a guard or center. If you could bundle some picks, even if we were 2025 picks, and go up and get Johnson, that alone would make us a successful draft. Yeah, and I think we're going to be in real good position, Matthew, I believe, when we pick in the first and second round to acquire somebody that potentially could be a day one starter. So, and if you can get 1 or 2 day one starters in this draft with the team as strong as it is, man, I think that means you're lining things up very well for the future of this franchise. All right, Five Fingers, what do you got? Good morning, everyone. Good morning to you too. Arthur Allen, good morning. Good back at you. Brent, best Lions show on YouTube, period. Exclamation point. Keep doing the great work, coach. Exclamation point. One pride. You know what? Hey, this show is an accumulation of everybody in it. Me, you, everybody else in the comments section. This works because of our community. And I'm just going to say this. I love the show to death. I wake up every day looking for something to talk about with you guys. And, I think it seems to me there's a number of us that enjoy it. Bo, what do you got? Replacements forever. There you go. Bring them in. All right. Trump, if we sign Reader and Mac, what will all the cryberries have to cry about? Crybabies have to cry about. Hey, some people are always not going to be happy, so just focus on yourself, man. You're happy, go with that, man. All right, Drake, isn't Max still with the Chargers? I believe he is. He is. Jerome, good morning, coach. Been off the show for a while, family issues. Sorry to hear that, man. Hopefully you're okay. Glad to be back. Thanks for answering all my crazy questions. Coach, love the show. Love you too, man. Hopefully you're having a great one, and hope you enjoy the show and everything is going better for you and the family. So hopefully that's happening. Drake and Grease, salutations, everyone. Back at you. Matthew, whatever late picks you have, get the kicker out of Stanford, the cornerback from the CFL, and a developmental wide receiver. That wouldn't be a bad route to go, 100%. And, I think we'd all enjoy a little bit more competition in the kicking department. Maybe a developmental corner or two, and then obviously some future depth at wide receiver. So I agree. Leonard, greetings and salutations. How the Duke crew this morning? Woo! Hopefully everybody in the Duke crew is doing well. Leonard, hopefully you're doing well as well, too. All right, Thaddeus, good morning. Back at you. Trump, Brad's a genius. He's done very well in his time in Detroit. Jason, this is what I don't understand. What are they saying? We need a wide receiver, but as far as I know, we still have like 4 or 5 in the practice squad. One of them being Tom Kennedy. There you go. I know the movement for Tom Kennedy. Hey, he's been Mr. Lion for a few years. I think, and it's just speculation on my part, Jason, I do believe they'll probably draft a wide receiver. Where they'll draft him at, as far as 29th round or the 5th round or the 1st round, who knows, man? I would think we're pretty set at receiver, but always trying to develop some future talent. So, and I think the Lions are at the point with the roster where you might potentially get a couple starters, maybe on the offensive line, maybe a kicker or wherever else. But I do think the rest of the draft is going to be about bringing in some younger developmental players, people you can grow into potential roles in the future. We'll see, though. Ed, I think Brad is really counting on Betts being a good edge rusher. That is possible, yeah. Him, Houston, maybe in different situations, other players as well. Maybe a draft pick from this upcoming draft. If you get a 2 or 3 person rotation out there, you're probably doing okay. Jerome, hey, coach, wish I had all your coaching and knowledge. If I were you, I would consider selling my team. Hey, nah, man, it's just, hey, it's when you do something for 3 or 4 decades. It's like anything, man. You just get better at it. You learn from your past. You learn, from mistakes made, and you move forward. So if you want to get into it, man, just understand every year you're around, you're going to have more information than you did the year before. You see things a little faster, a little quicker, etc. So just have fun with it, man. Hooker time. Hey, haven't seen you in a bit either. Good morning, all. Back at you. Hopefully having a great morning, my friend. Trump, watch a little of Derek yesterday. He must have got some meds. Okay. Don't know what happened there, but is what it is. Let's see. Bo, what do you got? TK85 lives. Yes. Tom Kennedy. Hey, he's a Detroit Lion, and say what you want about him, but he's found a way to stay relevant and around the NFL for years now. And there's not a lot of athletes who can do that. So give him a lot of kudos for that. Bo, what do you got? Derek is a good guy, a bit emotional. Hey, some worse things in life than being emotional, man. Trump's maybe Kennedy over Reynolds. Maybe. It's possible. Reynolds, we'll see what ends up happening. Ed, coach, is there a good guard available? Brad needs to address offensive line. Yeah, Ed, I think there's a gluttony of guards out there in free agency if the Lions choose to go that route, or if they want to do it in the draft. I think both are options for them. It's just going to come down to which path Brad Holmes chooses to go with. I would say this. If I was a betting man right now, I would say there is a real high probability our first round pick, if it's not traded, is either an interior offensive line or guard or defensive end. It's going to be one or the other. And I'm leaning towards probably offensive line in the first round, unless one of the better ends falls to us. But in either scenario, I think you've got real good depth in the draft for offensive linemen. There's probably less depth at end. So if a good end does fall there, you probably don't hesitate taking him. And then the second round, taking your guard. So we'll see what they do. All right, Brent, I think we pick up a veteran old lineman and another in the draft. Yeah, I would go with that. JPJ, Zach Zintz, Christian Haynes are 3 of my favorites. Yeah, again, beating a dead horse here, but there are a lot of great options for the offensive line, the interior offensive line, not so much the tackles. But the Lions picked a great year for them to go after a replacement for Jonah Jackson, just because I think there are so many options available and some very cost efficient too. All right, Hatman, come on, everyone hit that like button and make sure you are subscribed to the Best Lions content channel, One Pride. Thanks for that, Hatman. Thank you for that. And yeah, if you haven't yet subscribed, please consider doing so. The likes I can't see on the screen. I can tell you there's 200 some odd people in the chat, but that's about it. All right, Trump's, yes, he is he is passionate. There you go. Yeah, hey, worst things from your content providers, somebody who's into what they're doing. All right, let's see, Bo Trump, where did you get that old picture of my wife? Yeah, well, maybe that answers where you got it from. So who knows? Bo, or is it a new picture of my granddaughter? Oh boy, here we go. Jerome, hey coach, is Josh Reynolds still on our team? In your opinion, can we trust him in big games again? He's not. As far as sign, no, he's not right now. As far as trusting him, look at the Rams game last year, the playoff game. He made some big catches there. Throughout his time in Detroit, he did have 2 massive drops in the NFC title game. And you know what? That's probably going to sit with him for the rest of his life. I mean, he's always going to probably kick the can on that and say, man, what could have been. It's unfortunate, but it does happen sometimes to even the best players. All right, let's see. Trump, she must have been cheating on you. Oh, boy, here we go. Bo, she was a model. Lots of photos. There you go. Detroit North, greetings, salutations, Duke Crew. Happy with free agency so far. Brad is doing a great job. I would agree with it, man. I get there are going to be some fans that aren't happy because they're just not that huge name signings. There are a lot of hum signings, which is what Brad Holmes does. I can tell you the Lions did make a run, try to get Danielle Hunter. It just didn't work out. If they would have got him again, I think everybody would have been happy, but it didn't happen. He got outbid. Property Lord, good morning all. Good morning to you too. Jerome, hey coach, I don't understand why we continue to play the Cowboys in Dallas. That's done on purpose. That is a great question there, Jerome, because this is like 3 straight years or 4 straight years where we played them there. Don't hold me to that, but that sounds right. I'm not sure what the logic is behind it, other than just bad scheduling by the NFL. You would think at some point you would bring the Cowboys here. So maybe 2025 that will happen. Eduardo, good morning, people. Let's have a day, 100%. Hopefully having a great one. Eduardo, Carlton, quote, watch the film Davis. I am sold on him. Yeah, me too, man. And I don't know if you heard me when I first went on, but you watch his film. He holds a press at the line. I mean, the dude must have some real good upper body strength, because when he's getting hands on people, he is displacing them, even pushing them back slightly while keeping contact on them. He can delay somebody, it appears, for a quarter second to maybe a half a second. And while in most of life, that's not a huge deal, in the NFL and timing routes or just routes in general, that is a massive win for the Detroit Lions. If he stays healthy and he plays anywhere near the film I've watched, you know what? We may all have a very different opinion on this pickup or trade by the end of the season, next upcoming season. Trump, I've been around hot wild chicks my whole life. 30-year patched biker, lots of ladies. Hey, there you go. There you go. Wardo, dude is a straight baller. Needed someone like that. All right. No, nothing wrong with that. Bo, what do you got? We will host Dallas in the playoffs. There we go. If we make it. Yes. When we make the playoffs, I'm going to say this. Dallas is coming here. So let's make that happen. Let's go for the number 1 seed this offseason. Hookadoo, good morning, Coach and Duke Crew. Back at you, buddy. Hopefully having a great day. Wardo, at Jerome, the schedule is done on a formula. Most opponents are predetermined. Look it up if you need to. We go to Dallas this year, and next year they come to Detroit. Let's hope so, man, because it seems like it's been a minute since the Cowboys have been here. All right, Johnny Mack. Hey, I'm rarely listening live, but never miss. I feel like one of the team now. You are one of the team, and hey, it's always good to have you on part of the show, whether you're watching it live or on a delayed or tape delayed basis, whatever you want to call it. Well, Bo, what do you got? Good film on Davis the third at Will Upton. Yeah, and the more I've watched him, Carlton Davis the third, he may not be Patrick Surtain the third or second, or Sauce Gardner, but it doesn't mean he's not a good corner. If he was on last year's team, I'll put it this way. Do I think we win the NFC title game? It's possible, because You are one Vildor face mask bumped catch from probably getting a pick there, or if nothing else, forcing them to take a longer drive. You are one Cam Sutton or two Cam Sutton drop picks from probably going to the Super Bowl. You have someone like Davis on there, and I get he doesn't have a ton of career picks, but some of that is, he's so good in coverage, or he's very good in coverage, so people aren't targeting him as much as they would a Sutton or a Vildor. So food for thoughts. All right, Matthew, if you went after Clea, then you would have to be incentive based. Yes, I would go with that. Neither him nor Bosa, Clea Mack, or Bosa played like themselves this past year. He would have to train with Aleem and St. Brown so he gets his mojo back. And he's getting up there in age, so I get that's, there's a lot of different things that could go into play. But Mack, is he really an option for Detroit? I don't know. Like I said, I think he's still with the Chargers, at least last I checked a day ago. So I don't think they've released him. So unless you're going to trade for him, I don't see it happening. All right, Eduardo, he's on early. Yeah, let's freaking go. Yeah. I jumped on early when I saw how deep the comment section was getting. Trump, Houston doesn't deserve a huge contract yet. No, if he does real well this year, and on top of what he did his rookie year, he's going to get paid either from the Lions or somebody else. That will be unavoidable. His second year, sophomore year, obviously cut short, exponentially because of the broken leg. But see what he can do this year. CJ, with the defense getting built heavy in free agency, do you think we will go heavy on the offense in the draft? I don't know, man. I think they're really just doing everything they can to make it when they have a draft pick, it's best player available. If they want to target something particular, sort of like they did with Broderick Martin last year or Branch a year ago, then they have that kind of flexibility. They don't need to get certain spots. The only spot I would really say they need to get would be offensive line or guard at this point. But if they sign somebody else, then maybe that need is removed a little bit. Eduardo, how would you feel about this if either verse Latour or Turner dropped to like 16th? We trade up using a third rounder, and then we grab the best guard available in the second. This would leave us with no thirds. I'd be okay with it. I mean, if you really have that kind of belief in one of those pass rushers and you can move up for just a third round pick, man, go get the guy, because the roster is pretty full. I think most of us will agree the roster is pretty deep. It's got a lot of talent. So now get some guys that you feel like are going to come in as rookies and help out. Go up and get one of the pass rushers around 16, like you're saying. Get them in there. Maybe they're a day one starter, or if not, they're a real good rotational piece throughout the season. Second round, go get another offensive lineman, somebody who hopefully is a starting offensive lineman. Late in the draft, hey, maybe pick up another receiver just for depth, a kicker, stuff like that. Just get, round out the team a little bit. So I'd be fine with it. Eduardo, Trump, Houston is getting paid less than $1 million this year. Is that what the vet minimum is for his position? But I don't know, but I'll go with it. So thank you for that, Eduardo. Brent, if I see Houston driving back in coverage or on special teams, then AG isn't learning squat. I will go 1,000% with you there. I have zero interest in seeing one of our rare players out on special teams. I also don't want to see him worried about doing anything other than getting to the quarterback or the running back if it's a running play. Let him be him. Let him go to his strengths. Maybe there's time over the course of the season where you help develop other abilities of his. But I would just say that dude can get to a quarterback. You struggle with that. Let him do just that. Trump, that's a little cheap. Yeah, he is. Yeah, it is. Not a huge contract at all. Eduardo, they drop Hutch back into coverage on third downs too. I'm like, what are they doing? Yeah, I get it. Sometimes they try to be cute. I get he's gotten a few picks out of it, but I would just say this. I'm a big fan of letting players play to their strengths. Silver, very happy to hear about Houston, exclamation points. I was scared to lose him. Do you know how long the deal was signed? And thank you. So just to be specific, he has not signed it yet. It's been tendered to him. So he has choices because he's a restricted free agent. He can sign it, and it's a 1-year deal, or he's not playing NFL football this year. So, I probably worded that badly in the thumbnail, and apologies to everybody. All right, Surfer, what do you got? And good morning, Coach. Good morning to you too. Trump's AG is not my choice of DC. yeah, if he doesn't do well this year, I do wonder what will happen in future seasons here in Detroit. Ed, my grade on Brad's free agency so far is C. What is yours? I'm going to go with B minus, just because I do like a lot of the corners. I do like the value. I do like the Glasgow re-signing. So I'm going to go with B minus. Eduardo, with Davis, we're going from allowing 150 yards, allowing 80 yards, which is better. Yeah, I would go with that. Yeah, are we going to stop some of the premium wide receivers? No, we don't have those guys. But are we going to limit them a little bit more? Maybe make 1 or 2, maybe 3 more plays a game? Ultimately, I think that's what we are trying to get out of this. All right, JD, who do you think their target at receiver? Who do you think will target at receiver? Do they bring back Reynolds or go after someone like Tyler Boyd? I think it just comes down to Reynolds, what his contract demands are. If they're egregiously high, then yeah, he's probably walking. As far as receiver, I still think maybe Green from last year's draft could be the replacement. He's got some speed. He's got some wheels. He's had a year to develop in the NFL, but that doesn't mean they won't draft somebody else late in the rounds, 5th, 6th, 7th, etc. Surfer, if healthy, I believe Zonovan will be halfback number 3. There'll be a pretty good battle in camp between him and Reynolds for that 3rd spot. Eduardo, the fact I took Aaron Glenn until week 15 to realize he could blitz and be creative, that was a problem. Yeah, I think he was being stubborn, which we've all talked about on the show. Sometimes he's just way too stubborn with things. It happens to a lot of coaches. I know it happens to me sometimes, but you know what? Give him also credit for eventually saying, hey, we're going to put Iffy in and take Tracy Walker out. Hey, we're going to blitz a ton more and leave everybody in man coverage. Probably would have liked to have been a little bit faster, but at the end of the day, hey, you got within 3 points of being the Super Bowl, so there is that aspect too. Trump, Will Harris for Mac. There you go. Trade him straight up, and I'll even throw him out and do. All right, Wardo, hopefully next year Aaron Glenn is just aggressive all year long. I would prefer that just because you look at last year when we made a big defensive push, it was because of that. The year prior, once we got to whatever it was, 1-4, 1-5, that's when he sort of changed things. And then a couple games later, it started really coming to fruition. We got the win against the Packers at the Ford Field. And from there, it was go time. All right, Silfer, what do you got? Big Farm Benito Jones is gone. He was not yet retendered a contract. Please tell me this isn't so. They can bring him back. He just currently has not been offered a contract. So who knows what will happen. Brent, AG needs to take another step in his coaching progression. Yeah, I think both him and Ben Johnson, along with MCDC, they need to continue to grow. They need to continue to make in-game adjustments far faster. And that's where I think probably the biggest spot holding them back, other than just raw, experience. Bo, Broderick Martin, breakout year. I'm pushing for that big time. Wardo, if we sign Reeder and Armstead with Martin, we can rotate all of them and keep Reeder and Armstead fresher for the playoffs. Let's go. No, that's I think a great point. You would have a lot of guys, and don't forget like Cominsky, Pascal. You do have a lot of guys you'd be able to rotate all over the place. Because Armstead can play some end. He can play some tackle. Really going to come down to the formation. You can also rotate Aiden Hutchinson more because I know we talked about on the show quite a bit. To me, up until the last 3 or 4 games, you could just see where he was showing signs of fatigue because they were playing him 90+% of the time. The last month or so, they took him down to 70%, and he just looked far more explosive. Eduardo still would like to draft an edge, especially if one of the top tier ones drop. Yeah, I'm with you there. If one happens to fall near our reach and we can go get them, then just do that. Go get them. Joseph, good morning, Coach and Duke crew, ! What's the word, Dan the man? Hey, just talking a little bit about the Lions and talking with the Duke crew, talking about Cominsky taking a bit of a pay cut and Houston being offered a contract. So he's either going to play for Detroit this upcoming season or not play at all in the NFL. All right, Brent. Hope you are right, Bo. Broderick Martin making a significant contribution this year would be great. Yeah, and I'm with you guys on that. I think he's going to step up and do more this particular year. All right, Johnny Holmes and company still have my full confidence. If they resign Reeder, I'm happy. If not, I trust it. Yeah, and again, reiterating a point from earlier in the show, I think Reader does not get signed if that physical evaluation just doesn't go well. Robert, greetings and salutations. Back at you. Anthony, good morning, Duke crew. Super Bowl or bust, 1,000%. And thanks for all you do for the show there, Anthony. Joseph, I'm excited to see what Robertson does. He's a scrapper. Did you watch some of his highlights and what he did to old dudes at Kansas City? Love it. Woo! There you go. And yeah, I mean, he's not bad at all. He can get after it, and he is fast. You can see adding him gives you more depth outside and inside in the slot. So kudos for getting it, man. All right, Gary. Good morning, Coach and Duke crew. Coach, I hope with all this talk about the defense, the Lions haven't forgotten about the offensive line. There appears to be a few solid choices still out there. No, I think you're 100% right, Gary. There's some free agents you could bring in or address it in the draft. Maybe a combination of both, but I think they will be adding more to it at some point. Just going to be a question of when. Bo, Brent, a great rotational over a great rotation over one great player. There you go. Yeah, as far as the defensive line, you can maybe even argue that with the secondary right now. You are getting some good depth out there. When you look at, you got Brian Branch, you got Davis, you got Robertson, you got Sutton, Emmanuel Mosley. Plus, if they draft anybody and bring him in, or here you go, Gilmore, that we got from last year still. That's a pretty deep cornerback room. And you know what? Let the best 5 guys make the roster that particular day. All right, Bird Time, we definitely improved on the back end. I love the moves there. Don't let Reader leave without a contract if healthy. Yes, I agree with you. Get him signed if he pans out. Eduardo, Reader's a top 10 defensive tackle and top 3 run stuffer in the league. He will demand double teams, freeing up Hutch and Aleem, a modern-day Holtu Nagahata. Yeah, and Holtai, I always kill his name, but Nagahata, yeah, and he was, man, when he was here, he was a real nice one. He was super awesome during his run with the Baltimore Ravens. Surfer and Marcus Davenport might be able to help. He might surprise waiting to be optimistic. Yeah, and we'll see. You got to believe Brad Holmes signed him for a reason. Now, is there more upside than downside? Who knows? We'll have to see what he does once the season gets here. But let's not write him off until we know if he is or isn't something. All right, Johnny Mac, glad Commission is back. Does the dirty work. He does. Didn't have the greatest season last year, but you know what? Maybe he'll bounce back. Eduardo, if we even get to him for 10 games, that would be a plus at Silver Surfer. Yeah, especially like I know somebody pointed out, if you get enough guys where you can rotate them a little bit more, keep them fresher, keep them healthier, even the better. Bird Time, Mac is staying with the Chargers. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Eduardo, let's go Lions, 1,000%. Let's get to the Super Bowl. Super Bowl this year. Trump, I've been hearing Mac and Bosa could be cut due to cap hell. I know that was a lot of the speculation, but it seems as of yesterday, they had committed to keeping Mac. Now, could something change? Absolutely. But at least as of right now, he's still a Charger. Matthew, the Chargers signed 3 free agents, and I think that spells the end of Kalia in L.A. Maybe it just had, at least as of last night, as far as what I was aware, he's still there with the Chargers. All right, Eduardo, in my opinion, I think Brad really likes the edge class in the draft, and that's why he wasn't aggressive in getting anyone in free agency. There could be that. They could have 3 or 4 guys that they're projecting will fall to the Lions at their draft pick status. So you might be right on that. Don Kong, woo! There you go. Just for you, buddy. Eduardo, Iffy and Branch will contend for All-Pro. There you go. Yeah, hopefully we can get a couple guys on defense this year. David, we need to extend our guys, and we will need that cash. Yes, we need to get it done. It makes me wonder how much longer we go until St. Brown gets it. It could still be this summer or whatever. It doesn't mean just because they haven't done it yet, it won't happen. But him, Goff, there's Panay Sewell are some of the bigger names to be talked about. Nog Kong, it's 100% going to be a committee on D-line. Yeah, they're going to be rotating people left and right. Joseph, we might not get a big splash names, but we might have got the best people to play team ball and work together great. Exclamation point. Go Lions. Yeah, and you have to have faith in what the coaching staff and Brad Holmes are doing because you know what? They've been so right on so many things. It's hard to bet against them. Eduardo should still draft an edge. 22 Eagles. Eagles had 70 sacks, and 4 players with 10 plus sacks can never have enough pass rushers. No, you're right. They get them, and that does seem to be the Eagles' MO for like a decade now. They just stockpile that line and keep rotating guys to get after it. So I get your point, man. Bo, Brad went after Hunter. He did. Texans beat us, and San Francisco out for that. They did, and that's 2 straight seasons he's gone from. 2 straight seasons. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to acquire them. It happens. Joseph, work well together. Yeah, get guys that work well together. Big D, been watching film on both cornerbacks. We picked up. You guys realize that we got 2 number 1 cornerbacks in this free agency, and these cats are really good. Yeah, if not great. No, I agree with you. I haven't watched as much on the Raiders guy versus Davis the third, but Davis the third, I agree. He's gonna make an impact. He will help out. Anthony, people, what's better, 1 top tier player or 3 really good ones? In the NFL, I mean, if it was the NBA, I'd say the real good one. The 1 top tier player. In the NFL, I'm going to go with probably the 3 real good ones, just because injuries and wear happens so much more in this game, just because the nature of the game. So I'm going with you on that one. William, Max not leaving charges correct. David Higgins, man, we'll see, man. We'll see. Gary, my top 3 picks: Murphy, Texas; Neyland, Eastern Michigan; receiver Wilson, Florida. There you go. Those are nice ones. Detroit D, greatest and salutations to you too, my friend. Eduardo, imagine having 2 premier edges on rookie deals. Fingers crossed. Let's see if they can make that happen. Silver Surfer, nowadays it seems like every draft pick, especially if early picks, has to be ready to shock the league. I tell what I like about the Lions. They believe in developing. They are wise. Yeah, and that's what I get. There's a lot of people that wanted more out of Broderick Martin last year. But, man, just most rookies don't come in and just pound the tape their rookie year. They do need time to develop. And I'm with you, Surfer. I think he's going to, is he going to be a starter? Probably not. Is he going to be a real solid rotational piece this year? That, I think, is real possible. All right, Eduardo, I wish the draft was today, exclamation point. I want to see who we draft. No, we're, gosh, man, I don't know. We're less than 40 days or right around 40 days away, give or take. Eduardo, bring us Reader. Brand, bring us Reader. Yes, and we'll probably know within 24 hours if he's going to be a Lion or not. Bo, when is our next mock? Ooh, that's a good question. You guys want to try to do a mock next week? Let me know. So I'll be on the road come next week, Friday, for a week. So I'm going to have to do some remote broadcasts with you guys, just because I've got some scouting assignments and stuff like that I got to leave the country for. So how about this? You guys give me a day next week, whether it's a weekend or a weekday that you guys want to do the next mock draft. We'll go with majority rules. Whatever day works out best, that's what we'll do. All right, Gary, Reader would be a mentor for Martin. There you go. That's not a bad idea on that, Gary. Eduardo, super dome or bust, 1,000%. Silver, I think Holmes has learned how to run a franchise in the Madden football video game. He does exactly what I used to do many, many years ago. Didn't even play the game, just manage it and watch it. Hey, there's some people that enjoy that. I know that a long time ago, there used to be a group of us, like 20 of us, that ran what it was known as the Madden League. We would have drafts, free agent signings, the whole shebang. And yeah, loved it to death, but eventually just didn't have enough time for it. Brent, loved the interview with Carlton Davis III. Kind of refreshing and 180-degree turn from CJ Gardner-Johnson persona. Yeah, and I'm not going to say that's why Gardner-Johnson wasn't retained by the Lions, but I will say there's probably a few things in play for CJ. One, I still think that NFC title game did not do him any favors. Two, the emergence of Iffy and Kirby along with Brian Branch. I mean, Brian Branch, I think, probably superseded most people's expectations. And then, yeah, just what the coaching staff or the front office wanted from a personality standpoint. So I think you're pretty spot on with that, Brett. Hopefully you're doing well, by the way. I didn't want to forget that. Server, give James Houston a 4-year contract right now and put some money in it. There you go. I think they're probably going to make him play. My guess is at least they're going to make him play out this year. They could end up regretting that because that may actually drive his price tag up if he has anything like that rookie season again. But wait and see what happens. All right, come back, Zach. What do you got? Hey, bud, where do you stand on Goff's contract and the possible emergence of Hendon Hooker? Here's my thought. I would be in no hurry to get rid of Jared Goff. That also being said, it's my guess they're going to wait on Goff until they see the preseason games with Hendon Hooker. That way, I mean, they obviously had Hendon Hooker up this past season once he was cleared to do some evaluating on him. Now, if you can further see what he is or is not this OTAs, preseason, and then in the preseason games, if the Lions don't re-sign Goff by, I would say, by the day or two after the second preseason game, to me at least, that screams that they see something in Hendon Hooker, and that might be the route they're choosing to go. If they re-sign Goff beforehand, that tells me that they are probably looking at Hendon Hooker and going, we need to keep Goff and take that for what it is. Then I guess the next big tell, at least in my opinion, would be how long do you re-sign Goff? Is it 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years? The longer the contract is, if you give it to Goff, I would say that is more indication they don't see anybody, pushing him for the starting quarterback spot in the foreseeable future. So hopefully that helps. Anthony, Brad isn't picking up players for a short-term solution. He's building for the long-term haul, many trips to the playoffs and several years and beyond. Yeah, there you go. I'd say that's 100% correct. Bo, my money is on Brad trading up for the first round. Any takers? Oof. I could see it happen, yes. Now, are they going to trade a number 12 or 15? Boy, I don't know. I think you're going to have to give up a bit to get that. But is it possible? Sure, man. Miles, good morning. Good morning to you too. Anthony, Bo, if anything, he trades back for more draft capital. I would say that's very Brad Holmes-esque. Yes. David, did our guy that left for Seattle who got cut, Evan Brown, did he sign where? I have not paid attention to him. So if he has signed somewhere else, I'm not privy to it. How about that? Maybe somebody else knows. Throw it in the comments section. Walter, great job. Hey, I'll be all right. We'll go with that. All right. Stuart, what do you got? Good morning, Lions fam. Never give up. 100%. And woo! There you go. Miles, welcome back. Jerome Lewis, yeah, welcome back. And hopefully you and the family are doing well. One Funky, this fan base sucks. The GM that built you a team that got you to the ship gets crapped on by so many of you because he won't do what you wanted. Just watch some other team. Yeah, I mean, we probably don't give them, some of the fan base probably doesn't give them enough credit for what they've done in 3 years to revitalize this franchise. And yet we're going to question everything they do, even though they've been successful with it. So I get your point, One Funky. Bo, always glad to have Duke Crew guys back. Nice to hear from you, Drome. Yeah, glad he's back, man, 100%. The non-laughers, talking about somebody being back. Have we resigned St. Brown? Not as of yet, man. Not yet. Moonscar, coach, I don't enjoy this show at all. Well, I'm sorry you don't enjoy it, but hopefully you do. And I think you're being facetious there, sarcastic. So hopefully you're having a great one there, Moonscar. Johnny Mack, as much as I do respect and like Josh Reynolds, I'm thinking free agency or draft unless it's very team friendly. Yeah, there could be a lot of truth to that just because at some point you do have to manage the roster. You don't want to get overly aged at any particular position. And you probably don't want to invest a ton more money into that spot, knowing that you're going to have to resign St. Brown. And then in another 2 years, you're going to have to resign Jameson Williams. Eduardo, trade up, get your guy, and move on. This team / roster is pretty much filled out. Only really need 2 impact guys from this draft, and the rest might hit there you go, practice squad. Charles, glad to have Carlton Davis. He's a real dog. Welcome to the den. Yeah, I think he's going to catch a lot of people off guard how good he is. And I haven't watched, 40 hours of film on him, but I will say this, I've watched about a half hour or so of film, and the consistency of him, that's one of the more impressive things. When, as much as we want to get after people, blitz, we want to play man across the board. Davis fits that to a T. I get Tampa Bay plays mostly zone. which does not fit Carlton Davis, to his strengths. So keep that in mind too. It would appear to me he was not an ideal fit in Tampa Bay from a schematic standpoint. So you're having him fight himself a lot. Now in Detroit, as long as they do what they did towards the end of last year and the year prior, he's going to be playing to his strengths. That is man-to-man coverage. That is press man-to-man. And you know what? There's not many in the league that can do it as well as what I'm seeing with him. So that's one less guy you got to worry about getting potentially open, I would think, the majority of the time. Sebs, what do you got? Mike Williams would be an interesting pickup as well. Williams, St. Brown, J-Mo Laporta. Yikes. Yeah, that's a lot of real premium talent to go out there. My question is, will they invest that kind of money into another offensive weapon? I mean, they might. And you know what? That would be the greatest show on turf too, if that happens. All right, Hot Rod, Super Bowl or bust, go Lions, exclamation point, back at you, buddy. Hopefully you're having a great morning and day. Hey, but Evan Brown, is he available for he was cut by Seattle? Correct, he was cut. I cannot say if he is still available. William, Gibbs, Laporta, and St. Brown had big drops too. Yes, they did. They did. And enough with bashing Reynolds. No, and I get Reynolds is the easy target because wasn't one of them was on that big first fourth down. I'll say it probably to the end of my life. He catches that, we're in the Super Bowl. And it's not fair to him to put the weight of the world on him like that and say, hey, that drop cost you, because there were a lot of other plays in that game. Probably talking like a coach here. Hey, we could have, not settled for a field goal right before half. If Gibbs doesn't kind of slip and trip and lose his footing, Goff probably hits him for a touchdown. There's a lot of stuff you can do, but obviously just because of the nature of that being fourth down and the Niners get it right back because of it, that drop will, Lions fans are going to remember that for a while. A retired fire. Greetings and salutations, Duke crew of the mountain. Thanks, Dan. Kicker time at draft. Yeah, I would think later in the rounds, they're probably going after one of the kickers. Unless they just feel like nobody's going to draft one and they can sign him undrafted free agent. Bo, as for Reynolds drops, remember Jackie Smith and his Super Bowl drop still went to the Hall. Yes, he did. And you want to talk about drops in the Super Bowl, think about how different everybody would remember Jared Goff at this point in his career if I think his name was Cook, dropped 2 touchdown passes in the Super Bowl against New England. If he holds on to that, Jared Goff's is the way everybody viewed him, at least before he got traded, would have been vastly different. McVay probably would have stuck with him. We wouldn't have got him, which means we would have got Jameson Williams, which means we would have not more than likely got Ife Melifanu or I think Derek Barnes too. Maybe I'm wrong on Barnes, but you get the gist. Those couple drops by Cook not only wins New England the Super Bowl, but changes the narrative on Jared Goff and changes what we now know as the Detroit Lions. Arthur, with all the injuries we have in the cornerbacks, I still say we should trade for Greg Newsome. Yeah, I'd be way okay with adding Newsome out there. And sign the 49ers defensive end, and that will help plug some holes. That would be big time. Now, what's it take to get Newsome? Do you have to give up a third rounder? I mean, if you add him, that cornerback room looks pretty dang good, and the depth is just crazy good at that point. Surfer, I believe Reynolds will find another accommodation. Yeah, the longer it goes, the more I think he's probably out of Detroit, unfortunately. All right, Trump's great Carlton know how to chip off the line. Yeah, he's pretty good at it. You get a second or two, go watch some of his highlights. And as a coach, I don't like highlight tapes, but I'm also not going to watch 4 full games at this point in the year. What I want to see is where he wins the leverage when he jams and presses. Watch his hips when the receiver finally starts moving and getting out of the press. He's pretty fluid. He sticks with guys and gives a very limited window for a quarterback to hit. And in this league, I get if you're playing against Kurt Warner or somebody like that, that window, you give him a foot or two, that pass is completed. But that's not the majority of NFL quarterbacks. So now if you're going to blitz that often, as the Lions did last year, to get after other quarterbacks or fill up running lanes, that foot or two window, if that gets smaller and smaller, that means it's either a pick or incompletion, busted up play. You start impacting offenses in a hurry. You also allow someone like Cam Sutton to play more like the number 3 cornerback spot, which is probably, number 2 or 3 is probably more ideal for him. Although I will say this, I'm going to believe when Emmanuel Mosley gets healthy and gets a few games under him, he's probably your number 2 corner because of the style of D we're going to play, which means Sutton's your number 3. I mean, maybe even your number 4 because of Brian Branch if he's covering people in the slot. That's just a lot of real good depth out there. Lions Roar, 186 watching, only 56 likes, question mark. Let's get those likes up. Yes, if you haven't yet subscribed or liked the video, please consider doing so. A couple more here, and then we're over an hour in. Trump's Gibbs fumble was the dagger and drop passes by Reynolds. Yeah, ooh, man, I forgot about the Gibbs fumble, but, man, that just – the momentum was shifting, and that just added, rocket fuel to the fire when that happened. Burger time. I like our moves so far. Davis and Robertson are going to help big time. They're great on man-to-man coverage. They are. So, yeah, I concur with that big time. Eduardo, the way the schedule works is you play whoever is in your conference finishes in the same stop as you and won the North, Dallas won the East. That's why we face them. The entire North visits the East. Yeah, I agree with that. And I got a question for you, totally unrelated to your question. Adam, who's I get your thumbnail picture. Whatever happened to that guy? Anybody know? I haven't seen or heard of him in it's been a minute. David, Sutton will be a beast this year. Last year could not have set well with him. No, and he had the turf toe. Then they moved him to basically the number 1 corner spot. Yeah, he had a lot of things going against him. The entire South will visit us. I agree. It's on a rotation 2026. The East will visit us, and we will have to go to the South based on where we finish, if that makes sense. It makes sense, yeah. Detroit D, Mac is restructuring his contract to stay in LA. Yeah, and like I said, I didn't think he was leaving, but thanks for that. Thanks for confirming that, D. All right, JP, we have played at Dallas 7 of the last 9 meetings, but from 75 to 2003, we played 11 of 13 in Detroit. Man, that is some deep dive information, and thank you for that, JP. Bo, back in the day, Cowboys fans were complaining about going to Dallas. There you go. Yeah, it all kind of rotates, doesn't it? Eduardo, it's a rotation, JP, and it shows how it works out. Yep. I'm sure Seattle fans are upset that they keep coming to us. That is also true. Leonard, I really hope we can work on pass rush and mobile quarterback situations. Yeah, we can keep mobile quarterbacks in check. That would be great. Bergtime, I give him a B. All right, give him a B. I'll go with that. John, still waiting to see Broderick Martin. Yep, and hopefully this season we'll get some views on him. All right, guys, I've done what I can to try to catch up. Looks like we're still a little off, but it's been over an hour. My voice is starting to feel a little bit. So if there is some breaking news later today, I'll try to hop on the mic and get it to you guys as quick as possible. Maybe we get a DJ Reader update maybe early this afternoon or evening. If you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. We're about 60-some subs away from 6,100, believe it or not. And if you would take a free moment of time and hit that thumbs up button, surely we would be thankful. Otherwise, take care, enjoy your days, and we'll see you on the next Lions Talk Live. Take care, everybody.